The medieval world was a time of knights and castles, but most people were not nobles. Most people were peasants. Peasants were farmers. They lived in villages. Life was hard for peasants. They worked from sunrise to sunset. Peasants were the backbone of medieval society. They grew the food. They paid taxes to the lords and the church. Peasants did not own their land. They worked for the lord of the manor. The lord lived in the manor house. He protected the peasants. The peasants had to obey the lord. Life was harsh, but peasants were resilient. They found joy in simple things. The rooster's crow signaled the start of a new day. The peasant family woke up before sunrise. Their home was a single-room hut. It was made of wood and mud. The family slept on straw mattresses. The fire was rekindled from the embers. The family huddled around the fire for warmth. They ate a simple breakfast. Breakfast was usually bread and cheese, maybe some porridge. Children helped with chores. They fetched water from the well. They milked the goats. Everyone had to work. After the chores, they went to the fields. Farming was hard work. Peasants used simple tools. They ploughed the land with oxen. They sowed seeds by hand. They harvested crops with sickles. Wheat was a common crop. They used wheat to make bread. They also grew vegetables. They grew beans, peas, and onions. They kept animals like chickens, pigs, and cows. Peasants faced many challenges. The weather was unpredictable. There could be droughts. There could be floods. Insects and diseases could destroy their crops. The peasants' diet was simple and repetitive. They ate bread every day. They ate vegetables from their gardens. Meat was a rare treat. They might eat meat on special occasions. They cooked their food in a pot over the fire. They often ate stew. Stew was made with vegetables and grains. Sometimes they had a little bit of meat in the stew. They drank ale or water with their meals. They rarely had milk. They saved the milk for the children. They also collected berries and nuts from the forest. Section 5. Family matters, roles and responsibilities. The family was the center of the peasant's life. Everyone worked together to survive. The father was the head of the household. He made the decisions. He worked in the fields. The mother managed the household. She cooked, cleaned, and cared for the children. She also helped in the fields. Children started helping at a young age. They looked after younger siblings. They helped with chores. Families were close-knit. They relied on each other for support. They shared the workload. They celebrated together during festivals. Section 6. The Lord's due. Obligations and taxes. Peasants were not free. They were bound to the land. They had to work for the lord of the manor. They had to pay taxes. They paid taxes in crops or labor. The lord provided protection. He also held court. The court settled disputes. The peasants had to obey the lord's laws. The church was also important in their lives. They attended church on Sundays. They paid tithes to the church. Tithes were 1/10 of their produce. Section 7. Finding solace, evening activities and rest. As the sun began to set, the peasants returned home. They were tired from the day's work. They ate a simple dinner. Dinner was similar to breakfast and lunch. Evenings were a time for rest. They sat around the fire. They told stories. They sang songs. They played simple games. Children played outside until dark. They went to bed early. They needed to be well rested for the next day. Life was hard, but they found joy in simple things. Section 8. Through the seasons, life's rhythms. Life for the peasant was governed by the seasons. Spring was a time for planting. Summer was a time for tending crops. Autumn was harvest time. Winter was a time for rest. The days were short and cold. They stayed inside as much as possible. They repaired their tools. They prepared for the next spring. Each season brought its own challenges and rewards. They looked forward to the warmer months. They had to be prepared for the lean months of winter. Section 9. Conclusion: the backbone of medieval society. The medieval peasant's life was one of hardship and toil. They worked long hours, they lived in simple homes, they had little possessions, but they were essential to medieval society. They provided the food that sustained everyone. They paid the taxes that supported the lords and the church. They were the foundation upon which the medieval world was built. Their lives may seem difficult to us today, but they were resilient people. They found joy in their families, their communities, and their faith. They were the backbone of their world.